Hey, my Ohio State sports fans, and my Ohio sports fans out there, and all my subscribers. Thank you for listening. This is the Obi Sports Talk Show, and we're here to break down the Ohio State Michigan State game today. I actually just got home a little while ago, probably around 7 o'clock ish, and I just got done finishing watching the game. I didn't get to watch it live today, but wanted to break it down after I just watched the game here. And yeah, I was following a little bit on my phone, a little bit here and there, and a little bit on the radio. So I just got to see that Ohio State came out and played their best football game of the season, straight up. And it was a little interesting because we were down going into this game. We were down 3 offensive linemen and a starting linebacker, and our starting safety were all out due to COVID reasons and a few other injuries and stuff out there. So it's kind of interesting to see. We didn't know what we were going to kind of expect from this team today, knowing that they're going to be without 3 offensive linemen. And you kind of got to see. Harry Miller played center today and had a lot of low snaps and high snaps. And hats off to Justin Fields for doing a good job and adjusting those plays. And he usually got a lot of rushing yards out of those. He made the best out of nothing. Out of something that could have been nothing, losses and stuff like that, and did a good job, tried to pick the ball up and making something out of nothing, like I said. So, they by far played their best game of the season, and I'm going to look at each, just kind of break down their stats here a little bit, and we'll go from there, and we can have some comments and chit-chat a little bit about it, what you guys thought. But Justin Fields was 17 of 24 for 199 yards, 2 touchdown passes, with a QBR rating of 95.7. And Michigan State's quarterback, Rocky Lombardi, got knocked out of the game. He was 5'11", 33 yards, had a pick, and we'll talk a little bit about that pick in a second. And Peyton Thorne came in. He was 16 of 25, 147 yards, and an interception. Running the ball was interesting today. You had Trey Sermon, who had the bulk of the carries, 10 carries, 112 yards with a touchdown. And he had a 64-yard touchdown run that was, kind of remind you a little bit of when J.K. would run it last year. One cutback and gone. And that was the kind of the speed that we've been looking for. This guy was supposedly some good speedster out of Oklahoma. Maybe the first few games he just was banged up a little bit and wasn't fully healthy. So maybe having a healthy Trey Sermon pays dividends, and we'll start to see a little bit more of him going forward. Whether we play this week or this coming week against Michigan or not, we don't know yet, and if they'll be able to pick another game. But possibly the Big Ten championship game, if they allow us to play it, even though we've only played 5 games. At possibly the college football playoff. So like a guy like that to see get going is good. And I thought Justin Fields did a good job reading on that play. And how about Justin Fields running down the field with Trey Sermon and making a block to make sure that Trey Sermon got in the end zone? That is what you like to see if you're a quarterback. And so, and then Master Teague today was 14 carries for 46 yards. So Teague really couldn't get going. And C.J. Stroud, our backup quarterback, comes in and rushes for 1 carry for 48 yards and scores a touchdown. So hats off to him for a nice job doing there. And then Williams came in with 28. And so they ended up rushing the ball 48 times for 322 yards and 4 TDs because Justin Fields rushed for 13 carries for 104 yards and 2 TDs. So maybe Justin Fields ran the ball a little more than we like to see. But it was actually a lot of it were off broken plays, whether it was the low snaps or high snaps. But he got the job done. Michigan State, looking at them, their quarterback rushed it for 42 yards, and he had a touchdown. So they kind of brought him in, and it was kind of a different offense. But it was just Ohio State's defense was just, and we're going to get to that in just a second, how dominant they were. E.J. Collins was the other big guy, had 8 carries, 37 yards. And Hayward, their big-time running back, only had 8 carries for 11 yards, and Lombardi was 3 for -9. Look at receiving yards. Chris Olave had 10 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. And Garrett Wilson had 3 catches for 59 yards, and he'll actually come up short of tying Chris Carter's fifth straight game of 100 yards receiving, as he failed to do that today. But that's okay. I mean, they I'll say he still dominated pretty well. So, and I thought Fleming or Smith like that would have a big game today, or Smith. One of those two guys did not. Fleming had 2 catches for 8 yards, so not much going on there. And the tight ends had no catches. So it was mostly Olave and Wilson today, which is kind of what you expect. They're your 2 playmakers. The big 2 for Michigan State was Reed had 5 catches for 79 yards, and Naylor 4 for 36. So they didn't really get anything going at all, as they had 180 yards passing. So Ohio State's defense really today played phenomenal, if you will. We had 3 sacks. Harrison had half a sack, and Cage had half a sack. Hamilton had a sack, and Tyreek Smith had a sack that knocked Rocky out of the game. And the defense had 2 interceptions. Haskell Garrett, a defensive lineman for the Buckeyes, who had 3 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss. Or no, he didn't have a sack today. He had 3 tackles, 3 total tackles, 3 total tackles, 2 solo, and he had the interception in the end zone, batted it to himself and caught it. So great hands by Haskell Garrett. And he is, what a story by him. If you remember correctly, he was the guy that got shot in the face by an intruder. And for him to come back and be able to play this year is just phenomenal. Just a second, folks. It's just amazing what he's been able to do, and to see that play where he batted to himself and caught it in the end zone for a touchdown, that was pretty impressive. Especially when you see defensive linemen make catches like that. And Wyatt Davis actually called him for the offense today too, but it was for no yards, but whatever. But and Pete Warner had 8 tackles today. Marcus Williamson had 6. Shaun Wade with a pretty impressive pick, laying out for the ball, and the ball looked like it may have been tipped. And for him to have that awareness to make that catch was pretty impressive as well. Some of the other standouts today, Hiller stepped in for Borland, had 5 tackles. Gant got out there, had 5. Browning had 4. Tyreek, like I said, had 3. They were all for 3 for losses. Hickman had 3 tackles. He's the one that kind of played a little bit today for some of the other guys that were out. But the one thing you have to keep your cool is after they got their fumble recovered, they also recovered a fumble. And we lost one. Olave lost 2, but only one was recovered by Michigan State. But even though that guy kicked his helmet, and it's just a shame the referee could not see that, because that's uncalled for. You have to keep your head on straight. You cannot retaliate. They're always going to get you. And that kind of felt like that was kind of a position where Ohio State would have had good field position. And maybe if it wasn't for the penalty today, they would have tried to push it a little bit more and try to at least get field goal range, get another field goal. But because of the penalty, they decided to do that. But you have to have more composure. You're dominating the game. You knew Michigan State was going to try to rattle us a little bit with maybe some light hits and frustrated penalties, stuff like that. But you have to do a better job of disciplining yourself. And Hickman, he's got a lot to learn, because he's still learning. He's young, but you have to know better than that, not to retaliate in a situation. As a whole, the defense really played really well today. They did miss a lot of tackles from what I could see, so that's always a concern when you have a chance to get them back for negative yards or keep short yardage situations. And you let them break a couple big runs and stuff like that. Michigan State really never really threatened. Really felt like they really threatened Ohio State a little bit. So maybe the Ohio State did to change things a little bit. Maybe Michigan State's just not that good. So it's really hard to tell how well our defense is. But I'll give our defense today a very good job and effort. an A for effort today. I thought they really played a lot better compared to last week. Like I said, maybe it was just maybe it was just because the opponent we were playing wasn't as good as maybe an Indiana team or something like that. But Michigan State did tear apart a couple teams this year in the passing game, and so that was pretty impressive the way Ohio State's defense stepped up all the way around. And so great job by the defense. And let's talk about Drew Chrisman, our punter. You put 2 balls at the 1-yard line. And one of them, I think they said, was a 74-yard punt. Yeah. 3, and he punted 5 times, and 3 of those punts were inside the 20-yard line. He had a 74-yarder today. Whew. I mean, that is what is the advantage of having a good punter. And maybe that's something that will be beneficial if they do get to the college football playoff, where you can bank on that, knowing that you're going to have a good punter that's going to be able to flip the script and put another team's offense in a tight spot. So that was really a nice job by Chrisman today. And Blake Hobbiel made all of his extra points, and he made his field goal. So it's good to see Blake Hobbiel back, and he made his field goal today. And that's always nice to see when those kickers are able to come back after being out with injuries, stuff like that. But special teams today was pretty on point. You could punt the ball 5 times, and you get 5 of your punts inside the 20-yard line. I say that's a pretty good day at his work, and that's what the advantage of having a great punter is. So hats off to Ohio State, playing their best game of the year, and they get the win over Michigan State 52-12. So nice job to Larry Johnson stepping in as acting head coach and getting the win. And I did see that there was pictures and stuff like that where they gave a Gatorade bath, and that's always pretty cool for a head coach. And that may, and Larry Johnson probably deserves someday to be a head coach somewhere if he wants to. Maybe he'd just rather be an defensive line coach, and that's fine. But I think he really did a really good job with himself today and getting himself an opportunity possibly to be a head coach, because after even just one game, the way he put together a team, the team today, and got them prepared, and they kept putting on the gas. They did not let off the gas. They did not let off the pedal. They kept it going, and they knew they had to come out and try to press a little bit, and they did. And I think Justin Fields has put himself back in the Heisman race. I think maybe he kind of fell off a little bit, but I think he's back in there, and I think he's got to be. Justin Fields is a playmaker, and we've got a lot of playmakers on offense, and Justin Fields is a big factor why. So it's huge, and when you have a quarterback like that. So so we'll see what happens next week. We'll look and see if we're able to play. If we are, I'll probably wait until Wednesday to do my next video, depending on, and we'll talk whether or not we play or not, who we're playing. If we're not playing anybody, we'll still talk. If we do play somebody, we'll talk about it. We'll try to break it down Wednesday or Thursday a little bit, depending on when we know for sure what's going to happen. But it's supposed to be rivalry week next week, and it may not happen. But anyways, we're always proud of our Buckeyes, and it's always enjoyable when we win. And this one was pretty impressive as Ohio State moves to 5-0, and Michigan State moves to 2-4. As always, please leave your comments, your likes, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, tell your kids, tell your parents, tell whoever in your family and anybody that and share this video with people so we can get out there and have some love for our Buckeyes and other house sports. We'll talk about some other sports and stuff like that. And we'll go from there. We'll try to find some other topics to talk about here too, as college football season is drawing closer and closer to the end. We'll talk about other things later, and we'll just kind of see what's out there. Maybe we'll start talking about the Browns as they get ready to prepare. Maybe they'll get in the playoffs. We'll talk a little playoff Browns or something like that. So this is the Obi Sports Talk Show. I hope you enjoy it. And like I said, always leave your comments and your likes and share with other people. This is Zobi out. Thanks for watching. Go Buckeyes.